Well, Coach, the reason why I say that is because by this report, now this is all three schools, this is all three divisions. It says only 47% in D1 football at the FBS level. 44.7% of student athletes were Black or African American. 38.6% were white. So what's the other 40%?
Well, let me say this.
What's the other 20%, Coach? Do you know a lot of Asian players or?
Yeah, certainly we ain't talking about revenue sports.
No. This is no. We're talking about in D1 football. Now, this is what's confusing. 44.
Well, no. Wait. See, don't understand what D1 football. That goes out to those schools out in the sticks where there's a whole bunch. You know what I'm saying? See, don't get it. So, because that's where the number gets skewed because now you're adding schools that don't have a lot. So, like North Dakota
Idaho
or South Dakota.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But see, I tell you what. Look at the number in the SEC. And then tell me what the percentage of Black players are in the SEC. That is a dramatic skew difference to 70% like the NFL. Okay?
I like what Syntech Sports TV said. What powerful system has ever changed voluntarily?
None.
Man, that's a good statement. They ain't gonna do it unless you make them. And I think in college sports, we can make a change. It's changed everything else, but we got to go to Washington with it. And we ain't going to Washington with it and start pulling back some of this federal money because, Rocky, like you said earlier, it's even worse in the lower division, like Division 2 or 3. And it ain't it's worse there. You go, I coached down there. I coached in the KCAC, Campbell, up in Kansas, Division 2. Didn't nobody look like me. Nobody looked like me down there. And my head coach happened to be a Black guy. And nobody looked like us, coach. Not the AD, not the trainer, not the secretary, nobody. And it's something we got to do that. We got to do it, man. That's the only way it's going to change.
So just like Title IX has participation
mandates. You're talking, Rodney. That's why I love you.
Just because Title IX has participation mandates that say that a certain percentage of your overall non-revenue athletic programs have to be comprised of women, right?
We need it. You
would be okay with a situation where if your team is 60% Black, then 6 out of your 10 coaches should be represented by that ethnicity.
I wouldn't go that far. Damn, what the players look like. I'm talking about economics. That we need to have some of those positions so we can
money they make. How many positions?
Man, that's a good.
How many positions, Coach? How many positions, Mr. Campbell?
Well, see, this is where it comes back. See, because what I would say is, what's the true reflection? Look at the University of Alabama football team. Their whole 22, other than 2 or 3 kids, are all Black. Okay?
All of them
are 2 deep.
Black.
So the whole defense is Black. So can I have so I'm gonna play that game with you. Then why can't the whole defensive staff be Black? See, they don't want to do that. Because if I'm representative to that point, and this is what Coach is saying, you're never going to get the balance that's true there because we over-index. It's the same thing with basketball.
And let me say that article what I sent to you guys today, it'll come out. Nothing happens. Nobody makes no stir. No Black folks, no Black people that's in power positions because we're so happy. Because even the athletic directors don't look like us.
So how about
we got all these Black athletic directors in the SWAC? Name an athletic director, a Black athletic director from the SWAC has took over some Division I-A job. Do y'all know any? I don't know none. And so how, as an athletic director in the HBCU, you can turn around and hire a black coach, or turn around and let a head coach hire all white staff?
Well,
How can you sit there and let that happen and feel good about it?
Well, I can say this. I believe the chairman of the NCAA tournament is from the SWAC.
For the basketball tournament.
Oh, come on. You talking about Charles McCullum?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. What's that been 2 years in a row, ain't it?
Yeah, I think they have do run a 2 or 3 year.
He was there last year. Yeah, he was there last year. Yeah. Which is good. Look. I'm all for it.
Well, let me say this. How about this? I'm just going off the dome here, so correct me if I'm wrong. So my deal would be something like this. If I had to do it, I would incentivize schools this way. You could have 10 coaches, mandate at least two of those coaches be minorities, right? However, you could have 12 coaches if you hired two additional coaches for an allotment of 12. That way you could have 4 minority coaches. You understand what I'm saying? If it makes sense, you could have 10 coaches.
I knowing the business, Rocky, and been around in the business for now 50 years, almost 50 years. It's got to be 4. It's been 2 for the longest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you go from 10 coaches.
Hey, look, I don't care if they can only hire 6. Make 4 of them black.
Well, Rocky, here's the thing. Well, let's talk about it. So now what you're saying and what the argument why it won't work legally is you're talking about a quota.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's going to be struck down. That's never going to be ever enacted because we're already fighting.
Title IX is a quota.
No. What Title IX is it's not a quota. Title IX isn't saying, look, you didn't have any, and women are just equal to men. So whatever you give the men, you got to give the women. That's really basically what Title IX says. Right. You got to give the same amount to the women that you give the men.
But some people, the same opportunities.
Same opportunity.
In non-revenue sports.
Well, if basketball is a revenue sport for women, if you want to call it a revenue sport. No, but you got to say that they don't have football. So they don't have. So they have to add those sports because they don't have football.
So what I'm saying is basketball and football don't count. Men's basketball, men's football don't count. Let's set them aside.
Yes, it does.
Not for Title IX.
In Title IX.
No. For Title IX, it's only
the reason why is because then you gotta put in more women's sports to balance it out.
Exactly.
Football is so large that now we gotta make, because say some schools you got more women's sports than men because if they got football. So it's Title IX is making sure that women have the same opportunities as men. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? I mean, that makes sense.
But I thought there was an exclusion for men's basketball.
No. That's why you see it where they have to add a women's soccer team to balance it out. No, as a matter of fact, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this real quick, because I don't want people to misunderstand this. If the school offers athletic participation opportunities, the number of individual athlete participation slots, not number of teams, proportional to the number of males and females in the general student body, the school must meet the participation standard. Right. That's what that means.
Right. So all of it counts, Rob. Of course, football is big, then it's track. So
and under Title IX, no sport exclusion or exception. So football is included under the law.
Right.
Individual participation opportunities, numbers of athletes participate around the number of sports, and all men's sports and women's sports are counted to determine whether the school meets the Title IX participation standard.
So the 11.7 is for all non-revenue sports. The 11.7 scholarships.
Yeah.
That's for all. That's for even if it's baseball, even if it's rowing, even if it's whatever. Those teams only get 11.7 scholarships. That's what I'm talking about.
Here's what some people go wrong at, especially these women's sports, thinking that they should be getting paid as much as men. It never said about the money. It never said about being paid. It's about the opportunities, because as you know, there's more people that come watch men's sports than women's sports. So sometimes people get off course with Title IX on that case, and they don't win those cases. They go to court. Oh, well, he made $250,000, and you only paying me $150,000. Where he got 20,000 fans, and you got 1,000. So it's about the product. It ain't about whether it's a woman or a man, doing the coaching. So
as a courtesy in the description of this particular live, there's 2 links to 2 reports about diversity and equity and inclusion related to college athletics. I suggest both of you, anybody who's interested in reading those stats, go down in the description and click those links. All the numbers we're referencing are in those links.
I'm sorry. And you guys know, guys, we sitting here talking about Title IX and this destruction and all that. And they've done stuff for all that, except they've not done anything for college athletics to put people of color, especially Black men, in these roles, giving us these opportunities. They've done this and that in women's sports and Title IX. That ain't ever been an issue. The issue has been why, on its face, why do you guys have a problem with hiring Black men? So, period. Like you say, let's just tell the truth about it. Why do you guys have problems hiring Black men? The problem is some Black men have problems hiring Black men. We don't look out for each other. We don't. And it ain't, and this ain't a them against us. This is a systematic issue that need to be recognized, and make sure that Black men make sure that, look, guys, if they're hiring people that look like them, don't feel bad about hiring people that look like you.
You know what the crazy thing about this? We're talking about Title IX being the law of the land in 1972, right?
Right.
And I don't know what documentary I was watching, but some team in the SEC didn't integrate until the mid-70s. And I'm trying to think of what school that
football? That football? You know who put the first Black guy on the team? SMU.
No, I'm talking in the SEC. This the documentary I was talking about was
SMU was the last major college to put a Black guy on the team. And Alabama was the first major. No, let me take that back.
No, Kentucky and Tennessee had Black players before the Alabama. Right. Alabama didn't have a Black player until 70, 71.
Right. USC and Paul Bear Bryant called my man out of USC and put together a game because Alabama was the last school in the SEC to get a Black player. And when they played USC, Sam Bam Cunningham, I think he scored 4 touchdowns that night. And Bear Bryant smiled and told his alumni that we got to change. If I had some of those, this was his quote, if I had some of those, we would run through the conference. And that's what changed Alabama.
So in this documentary, I believe Alabama had Black players going back to the 50s, but they never played.
No, they couldn't even get into school, Rocky.
Okay,
you gotta listen. You gotta understand something. SEC schools until James Merritt, people like that didn't even get into the school until 63.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was no Black person there. Period. In the SEC at school at all.
Period. None. Zero.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not. I gotta stand on that because I don't want people to. We're not gonna change history. Okay, and we're not gonna change, and we're not gonna gloss over the SEC history.
I don't want us to get blinded with all this media and the cell phone and all this thing happening, and our young kids think that we've made it and we to the top. The 70s ain't too far away.
Absolutely. I was born in the 70s.
Wow. Okay.
So so what I'm looking at is this says a guy named John Mitchell, and maybe he was born in 1951. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Was the first black player in Alabama. But again, what I want to say is that this was integration going well into the mid 70s, right? Teams were still being integrated, and Title IX, they instituted the law that you could not discriminate any longer based on sex. They didn't make the same exclusion for race.
Well, wait a minute. So no. You gotta understand something. See, now we're gonna have to do history. See, this is what happens when so Rocky, you gotta understand. So I don't want to get too far in this for all my young folks. Good. You need the Civil Rights Act, 1964, you need to Google that. That prevented discrimination. Okay. That happened in 64. So the vote right was 65. So the Civil Rights Act was in 1964. That outlawed all over the United States racial discrimination in 1964. Okay. Now, with that being said, the Southern schools still, but that's why you had James Meredith and people over in Alabama, and then the person at LSU, and those people when they had to have the National Guard to force them to go to school, okay, and stuff like that. So that's where that progression comes from. Because football did not get integrated until the late 60s, early 70s. And I'm not talking about 20, 30 players. I'm talking about like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay? Be clear on that.
Yeah. And you know, the what they called it, not the Divine Nine, but the kids that was going to Central High School in Arkansas.
Yeah, Little Rock. Yeah,
in Little Rock, Arkansas. Yeah. So I mean, it ain't been that far off. I'm just, we got to do something, man. You know, because this ain't even really about my kids. This is about my kids' kids or your kids' kids, right? These guys are making $4 and $5 and $6 and $1 million as assistant coach. Do you know what you could do with $1 million or $500,000 in 2 years as assistant coach? And we down at the HBCU still making 40 and 30 and sleeping under your desk and all that kind of stuff.
But coach, if they don't want to fund you,
turn out a national championship, and the best job that your head coach can get is a running back coaching job.
But coach, this goes back.
Huh?
But this goes back to the initial discussion that we've had, and it goes back to these legislatures not properly funding these schools. We know we're owed billions of dollars that have been stolen. You didn't have to give it to me. Because first of all, this is not stuff that was allocated. This was legally money that you stole from us. Stolen. Facts. And they sent a letter saying, hey, can you just give those black folks their money back? And they still looking at us and laughing. Like, no, we're not gonna give them their money. Even though legally they stole, it's not even in the dispute. So what do we do when again somebody has stolen $1 billion for Southern, $2 billion for FAMU, $2 billion from North Carolina A&T? You give those people that money, you can have all the coaches you want. You can have all the facilities that you want. That is a lot of money. So again, when we sit back here and not understand the politics that affects our sports, because see, the politics doesn't affect the sports in the ACC, Big 10, Big 12. Politics doesn't affect their sports. They pass laws to help their sports.
Let me say this too, and I got to get on our black people, Rocky. In the 60s, our black schools, when they did play white schools, they beat the hell out of them. But what happened was, what black people did was not jump on board with athletics. Athletics has been the bicycle for black people since 1936 when Jesse Owens won the damn 1936 Olympics. And when he came back home, he still had to go in the back door to a place that was giving him an award. We didn't jump on board. White folks seen it and discovered it and started saying, well, damn, this is the way. What we've been doing, in my and I was born in the 60s, in the 70s, we always told each other, don't be a dumb jock. Be smart. Education is the way to go. And that's true. But administration is also
can you hear me?
the way to go. And we did not build up.
All right, I'm gonna have you on in a little bit. All right. Yeah, I hear you.
Like in Texas Southern.
Do I need to shut anything off when I?
Are we ready? Are y'all hearing me?
If you listen to us in the background,
Oh, right, we can hear you, Rocky. We can hear you.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but Rocky's talking to a caller. Sounds like Coach.
The Orange Blossom City Classic sold out. The Space City Classic, Grambling Southern sold out. Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Magic City got sold out. This was 30 years ago. Sellouts, big money, making money. People could. We never had a financial or administrative way to put the money back into the athletic program and ride it out. We as Black folks wanted to sell it out. Oh, we're smart. We're intelligent. So we downplayed athletics. Do you know that even today, we still hadn't took the handlebars of athletics and took money to put over there, put in the athletics to build big stadiums, or nice stadiums for our people. To hire, we still ain't done it. And of course, like you said earlier, we short $2 billion. We ain't fought for it. So yeah, if you let somebody mistreat you, they gonna mistreat you. And we've mistreated ourselves, and we missed a bright opportunity in the 70s and the early 80s to start putting money into athletics. And we didn't do it, and they did it. And now we behind the 8 ball.
Hey, Steve and Coach Cole, we have a caller on the line. Caller, give us your name and where you're calling from. What do you have for Coach? Go ahead.
I got something for all three of y'all, especially Coach. My name is Johnnie, and I'm from North Carolina Central. I love listening to you guys talk. And a lot of times I call in a clown and cut up like everybody else. But what y'all are talking to tonight, man, it really hurts me because I spent 30-something years in law enforcement. And I know exactly what y'all talking about the same discrimination. I didn't realize coaches had it so bad until I started paying attention this year. And Coach Cole, what I want to say is the model has been set before. We got to play the same play again. We got to economically boycott. And what I mean by that, and then we got to vote, register to vote, register to vote, and vote some more until we can get some politicians in place that can put some new laws on the book, because the current Republicans and Trumpism has gutted affirmative action, the bills, the laws that would take care of us. And we've got to start anew with voting, and we got to start a different way of protesting. And the way we protest is we start a culture of kids and adults. We don't buy NFL paraphernalia. We don't buy any paraphernalia unless it's sanctioned by our respective HBCUs. And we approach some of these big name ball players like Barkley, who's always been outspoken, but who's really on a tear, and ask them to say, "Hey man, speak up for us. Take your endowment money out of Auburn, and say, hey, listen, if you don't do better, I'm just going to divide it up into HBCUs." And we start getting professional athletes to do the same thing. And again, we financially boycott all the way from the top down. We try to do all we can to educate kids to come to HBCUs, like I say. And then on the HBCU campuses, we got to cut this stuff out of mooching, people trying to get in the games free, people not paying alumni dues. We've got to change the whole model around. And I really appreciate y'all. I hate to be long-winded, but I know how painful this is, man, because I'm sitting here right now. I got hired because of affirmative action, but I was the best. Well, let's put it this way. Affirmative action said, go out and get the best you could. I was one of the best in the criminal justice field. And discrimination is the same type of discrimination from the time I walked in the door right now. We're sitting up right now, me and a few other guys, waiting on the judge to pay us. I think I'm due $130,000. Some other guys will do as much as $250 from promotion discrimination. But you all got keep pounding at it that way, and we got to again, man. And I hate we got to vote. We got to vote, and because we can't change anything until we get the political might. Because you go to Washington right now, your senators are just going to say, "Hey, man, I feel for you," but we just don't have enough. We don't have enough people that's sensitive to diversity and whatnot to put laws on the books. So for that, I enjoy you all. I'm going to be praying for all the coaches because I know how painful this is, man. This is painful for me to just sit here and listen to you all talk about it. But I've been down that road from 1985 to the time 84, to the time I left my job as a federal agent for the federal government. I know exactly what y'all talk about. So thank you and keep pushing.
All right. Thank you for your call, caller. Appreciate it.
Rocky, let me say something about that caller. And this is what we're talking about. And this caller understands that law enforcement was one of the hardest things to penetrate as Black people. And while he said he got hired because of affirmative action, he got hired because he was qualified. And what happened before, they would not hire him. So they had to put in affirmative action. So a person that was qualified like him, that probably scored higher than anybody on the test, had better grades than anybody else, and then still, as we know, got underpaid for 30 plus years. 30 plus years, which I can show you over and over again. So his story is a story that I have seen in any job that you want to see. So the fact that he understands that, because you think about it, he went to college. They tell you go to school, do what you're supposed to do, get good grades. He goes. He went to Central, great school, created by a civil rights activist in 1910. He goes and gets a job, and you know what they do? Because the color of his skin, they underpay him. While his counterpart is getting 2 times, 3 times more. Not counting the promotion that he probably did not get, which would have even been more money. So this is the reason why these conversations resonate with people. And for people that, like I said, grew up with those people in the civil rights movement, things like that, I understand it. I understand his pain, but I'm proud of the fact that he said, hey, listen, I still did this, still achieved. And that's why I think we have to understand, to his point, we push stuff away, but it requires, to what Coach is saying, sometimes people got to make the hard choices. And we just refuse to make the sacrifice now. Because there was sacrifice in the 50s and 60s. I don't think people really understand the sacrifice of my mother who had to go to the bathroom on the side of the road. If I tell you all to do that now, you look at it like I'm crazy. They fought for that, so you don't have to do that anymore. So these are things that we have to sit back and understand, that if we want equal access, we want equal rights, we're all going to have to come to the point and say we're going to have to sacrifice something. And that's where it comes in at.
Well, the thing is, we got to read and we got to be educated on what's going on. Do you understand that $45,000, $50,000 is the average salary of a Black family compared to $74,000, $75,000 of a white family? And we don't want to get into all that and all athletics and get out of our realm of what we're talking about. But we don't even understand that, Coach. We don't even understand the big disparity in that. All we see is what's on social media. But I get tired of watching on Sundays and on Saturdays, and I'm looking at the sideline, and I'm looking at the football field, and I'm seeing all these great players making plays that look like me. And I look on the sideline, and all the ones who's running the strings on them plays look like the other guy. I'm not mad at them, though, Rocky. Campbell, I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at us. Us. You know what I'm saying? It's about us.
Hey, we got a caller, guys. We got a caller. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, this is Roy Gillis from Waco, Texas.
Hey, man, this is guys, y'all. Hey, this is Roy here. This is not only my good friend, but this is also my business partner in 254 Podcast Studios, and also Magic 94.5. So go ahead, Roy.
Hey man, y'all hitting on a very good and insightful conversation, and definitely
And PV grad, and PV grad. So hold on.
Well, I didn't like to hear that.
Means,
I don't
Campbell.
like to hear that.
So you know what that means, Mr. Campbell.
I don't have a sports insight that you guys have, even though I do own Syntex Sports Network here in Waco, but I do understand business. So in this whole athletic thing that we're talking about, this is the only field where we own we are the cash crop. I saw something today that 2% of Florida student body was African American, but 77% of all of their athletics is Black. So the last caller talked about economic boycott. That's the only way this is going to change. I don't have the faith in in our elected politicians, but I know this: if you can move the needle economically, a small amount, you get people's attention. So I put in the quote in the comments. What do you guys think about the boycott that NAACP is calling for in Florida? I don't know how effective it would be, but I've been waiting for years for somebody to say, "Hey, let's just stop going to those schools." I'm talking about and push that from the top down. Let's stop going there. If you don't want to go to a HBCU, go to USC, go somewhere else. But these southern schools to break this block that we got down here in the South, Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, man, stop going. And if that movement can start, like I said, I don't understand a lot about athletics like you guys do. You guys are the subject matter experts, but I know this: we holding the guns. We're the ones with the power, really, because it's our boys that's out there making the difference. We are the ones that they want. Nick Saban is not. He ain't Nick Saban without them 4 and 5 stars that's coming out the South. He ain't. Nick Saban is not this great. He's not that great, that better of a coach than some of these other coaches. I don't believe that, because without the talent, and I heard him say this. He said early on in his career, he learned that he wasn't very good at making mediocre players play great. So he needed to go out and get great players. So I just wanted to hear what you guys thought about that. And is that something that's even viable? Are we even ready to start saying that verbally, not just in the barbershop, but I'm talking about celebrities saying this? Stop going. Stop going there. How much can we move the needle? Can we chip off 5 players? Can we chip off 10 players? Because I guarantee you it will get some attention. And I'll hang up and hear what you guys have to say about it.
Hey, thank you for calling, Roy. And again, that's Roy Gillis, my business partner and PV grad. So y'all know what that means. If you don't know, you just have to read something, and they'll tell you.
Deion had made a big spiel in HBCU, and I understand some of the people got upset. So what did they do? They went and got our cash cow and paid him that money. I think it ain't like what it used to be. All this social media, and they got our young kids looking at this social media, and you looking at one kid out of it's 8 billion people in the United States. And our young kids don't understand that what you're looking at is that 1%. This flashing this money and I'm successful doing this. But then I'm giving you some hard facts from the Century report that the average salary of a Black family is about $45,000 to $52,000. That ain't no money. It's a whole bunch of people that look like us that got great talent, but it's not being used or not being getting these opportunities because of the color of our skin. And then once again, it ain't them, it's us. We got to do something. We got to take the ball by the hand. Take the ball and we got to move the ball, whatever that is. I think that it's got to be some politics involved in this. It's got to be about voting, as the guy was saying earlier. It's got to be people looking at our circumstances and understanding that it's just a big disparity, man. How can in college sports that that we are the majority of the product in these major sports. We are the majority of the product, but we're not reaching our goals as, you know, we are the product, we are the people, but we're not reaching our goal as the profit. We're not making a profit off of that. That's what I just want to say.
Well, Rock, I want to make 2 points, and Coach alluded to it. But Deion Sanders could have been the most dangerous man in America at Jackson State.
Yes.
Because what Deion had done at Jackson State was literally the perfect vessel. And what I mean by that, because of its history, its pedigree, the 50,000 Black people in the stands that could get to 60,000 people, the education that you would have got. And the thing about it was with Willie Simmons also in Florida and the ability to recruit those players. Those were the two, if they would have kept those coaches there. Now let's think about this for a second. If Deion stays at Jackson State, Shadur Sanders would be a senior. How many top players do you think would be on Jackson State's roster right now? It would have been ridiculous. It would have been ridiculous. Along with the visibility of 60,000 Black people that would rival anything Ole Miss or Mississippi State could do. Now you look at Willie Simmons. He stays at FAMU, and let's just say it goes back and forth, just for the sake of this argument. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds. FAMU wins something. All these kids from Florida State say, well, hey, you know what? We can come over here to FAMU because Jackson State got all these Power 5 type players, and we got Power 5 type players. Guess who they're going to show on TV, Rocky? Guess who people want to see? Because now you're seeing the true talent of what is. And that's what they didn't want to see. Now, I'm going to make my second point. Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, you know what he said? Oh, this NCAA tournament, y'all let too many of these little schools in. That's hurting me, because when we have these big super conferences, we probably going to have them, these little schools, we need to put them in the first 4. Because he knows if these schools start making a run, start winning games, all of a sudden they come with Gonzaga. They don't want that to happen because that amount of money has built Gonzaga, just winning tournament games. So you know what he says? No. We really need to look at this. So once again, they see when you start moving, they start changing the rules. When they see you start moving, hey, Deion, Jackson State is not big enough for you. You need to come on over here to the Power 5, but this is where you really need to be at. These are the things that they program us and tell us, and then we fall for. Well, yeah, he got to go up there and play the Division I and play that. He had Division I, the most talented players in Colorado with Jackson State players.
Here's where I come in at. You are correct. Here's where I come in at. You got to treat these head coaches right. How come Deion couldn't get the $500,000 or the $600,000 from Jackson State instead of the president? How come Simmons wasn't offered the $400,000 or $500,000? Because he is the face of the university. We don't get that as Black folks. We start picking fingers and pulling apart and tearing apart the guy instead of saying, and I told y'all before, I said, well, then why they didn't offer Simmons $400,000 in a 10-year contract? Or at least present these opportunities. Why come they didn't tell Deion, all right, look, we're going to give you $600,000. We're going to give you the percentage of the gate. Man, we love you here. We're going to give you a 10-year contract. Why we don't do that? Why we don't offer, let respect and let him understand that we care about you and your. Why we don't, as a school, Deion, we're going to buy you a house. Coach Simmons, we're going to get you a house. We're going to get you a car deal. That's what they do. They go all out because the what am I want to say? The opportunity, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is the reward is bigger than the risk. Do you see what I'm saying? The reward is bigger than the risk. When you get a diamond in the rough, man, you gotta clean him up, Rocky. You and take him to the top.
Well,
if not, What we've been doing the last 40 years is start over and over and over again. We never do what we're supposed to.
What you're gonna ask people to do with this situation is for, let's use Travis Hunter for an example, or guys like Travis Hunter, to forego the opportunities that are offered to them at prestigious Power 5 universities and select the culture and history over anything that they could be offered by a Power 5 school. That's what you're asking a kid to do. How many kids are there? How many, let's not say kids, how many families are willing to do that in this climate? How many, I saw Travis Hunter as a very rare circumstance and situation. And there were other 4-star kids that ended up going to Jackson State as well. But when you ask people to make those kind of sacrifices, long term, how does it benefit the overall culture of Black men? And that's what I want you guys to say. If people who are blessed enough to have a 1% child that is able to perform at a very high level at a prestigious university, to forgo that opportunity to commoditize that talent, right? And do what is in the best interest of the culture, what do those people get in return for their sacrifice? That's what I'll
Okay. Let me answer that, Coach. Now, because this is going to be my historian part.
Of that. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. That is always the question. But I'm going to go back to history. We're going to Montgomery, right? The Montgomery bus boycott. People can say, well, hey, man, we need to sit in the back of this bus because it's easier for me to ride this bus than to walk 4 or 5 miles or 10 miles to work. Because that was the argument that they said, oh, no. It was certain people that said, I do not have the ability to do this. So I would rather get treated as a second-class citizen than sacrifice. See, this is what Coach is talking about. See, Rocky, in life, this is what it comes down to. Anytime in history, somebody is going to have to sacrifice. Those people sacrificed so me and you could be on the screen right now. If they didn't do that, because they could have made the same argument you're making right now. They could have made that argument, right? They could have said, oh, no, we're not going to sacrifice right now. But they understood for the good of the whole that we are going to sacrifice. Blood, sweat, people died, okay? People died. This was not a joke. People put their life on the line so we can be on it. Like me and you were born in 1970. And I tell people this all the time. We were the first children born in integration. Think about that. So integration has been around for 54 years. Okay? It was people, your parents, my grandparents, that sacrificed the fact for us to even do this. So me, I look at it totally different. Because if they didn't make that sacrifice, where would we be at right now? So it's always the easy choice that people can make, but it's the hard choice that makes your life easier. So yes, with Travis Hunter, because then the question is, I saw, and Blue is on there, great thing, but here's what my argument would be. So Travis Hunter, so I'm gonna say this again, and I'm gonna make this argument. You're gonna tell me Travis Hunter can't get drafted in the first round? And if he went this way, Jerry Rice is the greatest player of all time for some people. Walter Payton is one of the greatest players of all time. Steve McNair was the 3rd pick in the draft. Travis Hunter's not going 3rd in the draft. That I can guarantee. So don't tell me that Travis Hunter can't be drafted 3rd if Steve McNair can. If Walter Payton can. If Jerry Rice can. I can go on and on and on. So that argument to me rings hollow when I've seen it happen. It would be different if it never happened. But if Steve McNair can get drafted in 3rd, right? So you can't tell me it didn't happen. Jerry Rice is the GOAT at Mississippi Valley. Can't say that didn't prepare him. So these are the arguments that the white power structure makes. Hey, you got to come to Colorado because we got the bigger. Yeah. You know what? You're down there in Texas, right? You do realize University of Texas, maybe about 3 years ago, did not have one player drafted. So what did that $400 million weight room do for them a couple of years ago? Nothing. So do not tell me that it requires a weight room and this to be great. We've been great without less. So again, I know, and again, it's hard to put down a kid. But let me tell you something again. Do you understand how old John Lewis was with SNCC? He was the same age as Travis Hunter when he got his head knocked. So don't tell me Travis Hunter, the people from my A&T people that sat at that lunch counter, they were students at North Carolina A&T. These were not grown men at 50 years old. These were students. They sacrificed.
But let me say this, Mr. Campbell, and I'm not arguing against you or whatever, but there were clear oppressive circumstances that were happening to everyone in the community, right?
It's still oppressive.
Huh?
Isn't that still oppressive?
What is that?
Are we still not being oppressed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I just want to make sure that.
No. But the only point I'm making is some would say to sacrifice for a coach who makes $90,000 now for a kid to make a sacrifice for that coach so that he can now make $400,000 and continue to take care of his white wife. You know, how does that, what good does that do to the culture?
It's the same argument, right? That's why I gave you the same argument, but just as a simple, why am I going to not sit on the back of this bus? When I get on this bus, y'all tripping, and you're going to tell me I got to walk 10 miles in the rain, in the heat. Why am I doing this? It's the same argument that we have to face this argument every time. Sooner or later, we have to understand, and I'm just making a Coach Cole argument, right? So yes, people don't want to sacrifice, but that's the greatness about that generation. They actually sacrificed. They did it.
Absolutely.
And from the oldest to the youngest, you understand something? My mother, we let them out of school. You know what grade my mother was in? She was in the 4th grade. The 4th grade. And they marched. They let all the children out of school. You look at, man, you've seen it right down in Montgomery. They spraying the water hoses in Birmingham. Those are kids.
One thing that our mother and father's generation clearly understood, they accepted the fate that they may not be able to receive the benefits for which they are fighting for, but they made darn well sure that we would not have to live in the same world that they grew up in. And that's what I certainly appreciate, the sacrifice that they made. And they're going to take a generation of men and young women to have that same attitude, that they may have to forego a benefit. They may have to forego an opportunity. They may have to sacrifice so that young boys and young girls won't exist in a world where 75% of the players in the SEC are black and only 20% of the coaches are black.
Again, I understand this argument, but I hear it and it rings on deaf ear. But all I'm saying is, if that's the case, we can play, because if with Travis Hunter, I'm just going to use Travis because he's not related to Deion. I know he looks at Deion father. If Travis Hunter is going to say that, he could say, shit, I could go to Alabama and have a better shot being a higher draft pick. I mean, if he wants to play this game, or Georgia, where more likely would he be a higher draft pick? Going to Alabama, Georgia, or going to Colorado?
He chose Deion.
Exactly. So again, when we play this game, so that does not mean that Travis Hunter or any of these kids could not be a first-round pick at HBCU, because we have produced first-round picks at HBCU. That's my point. So you cannot make that argument to me with less resources, with less facilities, because your ability is your ability. See, this is the thing, once again, we get sold this all the time. This is the same argument that the SEC coaches are, you come over here, we got all this and all this stuff. And then the kids go, and then they're like, oh, wow. You got those kids, again, that went from their Power 5, came to Jack State, and they were like, this is really nice. Because it wasn't the weight room, it was everything else we offered. And I say we as an HBCU collective. You get some, bro, you gotta understand something. There ain't no black people in Colorado. None. I don't care what nobody say. That is not a happy place. Because you're not getting any diversity of thought. Anybody that went to an HBCU, you think about your freshman dorm and the people that you met from all over the country. Coach Cole, you know this. You sat in that dorm and just traded ideas and thoughts because you were from a different part of the country. Somebody was poor. Somebody was rich. Somebody was in the middle. All of that made me who I am right now. Travis Hunter is not going to get that at Colorado. So I get it, he's up there to play football, but I'm going to tell you a secret. Going to school is a little bit more than playing football also. So this is where we have to stop this and understand. And I get it. Like I say, it's hard when it's always hard when you say you the one got to sacrifice. Nobody really wants to do that when it's you. So that's the only reason why I kind of get a sense when I hear this. Well, he had to go there. No, he did not have to go there to do what? Because the University of Texas had all that, and they didn't get a draft pick. So there's no guarantee you go somewhere you're going to get drafted. Unless you over there, Alabama and Georgia. If that's the case, everybody should go to Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State. That's just my argument on that.
Hey, Coach, we went well past our time, Coach Cole. I'm going to make sure we can get out of here, man. And we wanted to make that announcement. Wanted to remind everybody our big announcement was we will be at the Alabama State spring game on April the 6th. Checking out Coach Eddie Robinson's Hornets, Alabama State Hornets, and getting out the first glimpse of Andrew Body in action. So, Coach Cole, we about to get out of here, man. I'm going to let you take us out, bro. All right, looks like we may be froze.
Did Coach freeze?
Yeah, it looks like we may be froze. But, hey, I just want to say this, man. If you find yourself in a situation, let me see what Coach Cole always says. Let me see if I got it right. Grab a rope, tie a knot, hold on tight, because ain't nobody bad like you.
There it is.
If I can get this thing refreshed, because I may be the one that's...
Yeah, you're frozen too. I'm the only one that's not frozen.
All right, Cole, let me see if we can...
there you go.
Have I caught up yet? I don't know what's... Look like my whole situation done locked up over here. Hold on, let me...
Yo, mute. Hello?
Yeah, we hear you now, Coach.
Man, you said something there, Campbell. You went deep. I wanted to piggyback, but you went deep. You know, about only 1% gonna get drafted. Ain't nothing guaranteed that you're gonna get drafted or wherever you go.
Yeah,
if you're
Coach.
A player, they're gonna fire you.
They're going to fire you, Coach. And that's been our mantra for all the HBC. And that's why I'm saying why, again, when you look at the greatness of our players, that's why that argument, and again, I understand that, and everybody likes the Bills. I'm just not going to ever fall. I don't come from that. I'm very proud of where I come from. I'm very proud of all the SWAC schools and MEAC schools and all the other HBCUs. And I know we produce greatness. So, you know, that's all of my argument. And I just have heard that argument too many times. That's the only route for you to get there. Well, that's because they tell you that's the only route. That's the argument that they make. They tell you that. Why do they tell you that? Because they don't want you to be over there. They don't want you to be there. And there's no disrespect. No disrespect to all these schools and stuff like that. And for the players, I have friends, their sons and daughters play these Power Fives. I'm happy for that opportunity. But don't tell me that you can't get the opportunity if, to your point, we all come together. Because we create the opportunity, we all come together.
See, here's the other thing I understand. The SWAC got more Hall of Famers, Coach, than most of the Division I schools. We in the top 5 of Hall of Famers.
I always have this argument. I went to a Catholic school in Jackson, and they would talk. And I said, you all from Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Southern Mississippi don't even together have as many Hall of Famers as Jackson State. Together of one school.
Right.
The big three. So you can't tell me the quality of the program. The 5 best players that ever came out the state or played in the state of Mississippi came from HBCUs.
Yes.
2 of them are at GOAT status. Think about that.
Right.
Jared Rice and Walter Payton are in the realm of the greatest players ever.
Ever played. That position.
There is not one player from Ole Miss you can say that about. There's not one player from Mississippi State you can say that about. And Brett Favre barely is knocking on that door. Barely.
Yeah. And he just lost all his credibility stealing from the poor people.
So exactly. So again, you know, so I understand that as they say, oh, Mr. Campbell, that was back in the day, you know, things have changed. You got to go to LSU. You got to go to Alabama. Well, yeah, I get it, because they programmed you to tell you that. That's what they program you to tell you that. So again, you know, so Coach, you know, I appreciate you allowing me, you know, the politics thing is my thing. Black history is my thing. Civil rights are my thing. And I appreciate allowing us to have this conversation and let people know, because I think we have a diverse audience of old and young. And I just, like I said, as they say, for the young people, I want you to really understand your greatness and understand that people your age sacrifice so you can be doing all that foolishness that you're doing on TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that.
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today, it's Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Number 1, President Joe Biden announced a proposal that would involve a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the remaining hostages. In his remarks Friday, the president called on Hamas to agree to the new offer, pointing out that Hamas was no longer capable of carrying out a large-scale attack on Israel. Calling it a path to a better future for everyone involved, the president outlined details of a Gaza ceasefire proposal. He implored Israeli leaders to stand in support and accept the ceasefire deal. Number 2, while the United States Supreme Court continues deliberations regarding the immunity of Donald Trump and a case involving a January 6 rioter, Justice Samuel Alito has refused to recuse himself from those cases. Members of the U.S. House and Senate called upon Alito to remove himself from the Trump-related cases after flags that appeared to support Donald Trump were seen flying on, over, or near his homes, his day-to-day residence, and his vacation house. In his letters to critics in the House and the Senate, Justice Alito blamed his wife for the second flag flown at his beach house. Number 3, taking charge of your health is a responsibility that should never be overlooked, regardless of your gender. However, men, including African American men, often tend to neglect regular health checkups, which can result in delayed detection and treatment of potential health issues. To help men, especially African American men, prioritize their well-being, Black Health Matters presents the Men's Health Checklist. Find out more in today's newsletter. Number 4, 3 black men have filed federal lawsuits against American Airlines after being removed from a flight from Phoenix to JFK in New York, alleging racial discrimination. The plaintiffs claim they and 5 other black men were taken off the flight without valid reasons and were told it was due to a complaint about body odor, which they say they were not informed about individually. American Airlines has faced several recent allegations of racial discrimination. Number 5, it's Ministry Monday and fellowship is the topic. It's friendly association with people who share the same interest. The word fellowship is derived from the Greek word koinonia, defined as holding something in common, and is specifically used 20 times in the New Testament. Fellowship can be done in a group setting like homes, churches, and on Zoom meetings where the common denomination is God. Fellowship is not just about being in the presence of like-minded people and God. It's an opportunity to learn more about God together, to grow our faith together, to sing and pray together, to witness to one another about the goodness of God. Read more about fellowship in Ministry Monday in today's newsletter. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. You reduce unnecessary stress and anxiety when you practice letting things play out. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
My name is JM&E, and I won $500 on the lunch money for keeping up with the Jonas Bracket Challenge.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.